A Eulogy for England. When facing head-on the enormity of the task which lies ahead for England, I am filled with foreboding. The gravity of our predicament cannot be understated. England is on her deathbed. Make no mistake about it, she is breathing her last gasping breaths. It would require a Herculean effort to revive her. The dreadful consequences of the British Cultural Revolution are nearing completion. We are stumbling under the weight of a two-pronged attack. Our institutions have been poisoned by the domestic threat within. Meanwhile, we are suffering a slow-scale invasion. While native leftists critique, deconstruct, and demoralize England and her people, thousands, literally thousands, of immigrants, many of whom hostile, flood into our green and pleasant land every single day, and our culture and customs are increasingly sidelined to suit them. Our inherent tendency to charity and tolerance is abused daily. In the pursuit of the moronic goal of inclusivity, we have underwritten the slow-motion abolition of our own existence. Any attempt to quell the dissolution of our nation will be met with the same familiar cries: xenophobia, racism, bigotry. The rot in our cultural institutions goes to the core. Media and education have been utterly captured and subverted for use against us. The only hope to save England is to retake the media. This cannot be achieved without first retaking the education system. But these ends, even if their achievement were possible, and it is not at all clear that that is the case, will take decades. We do not have that time. There will be no uprising, no civil war to reclaim our nation. The saddest part is that, were there a war, and were we to win it, we would show clemency to our enemies. That is the English way. But our enemies will show us no such mercy when they achieve their victory. Our lineage, our history, will be extinguished like a cheap candle. We will cease to be a reality, only a memory, only existing in the history books. As history is written by the victors, we shall be portrayed as having deserved our fate. In fact, we are already being written out of our history. Native Britons are already a minority on our TV screens. The apathy of the masses is infuriating. When our daughters are raped by Pakistani grooming gangs or blown to smithereens at pop concerts, nothing is done. When our cities are overtaken by rabid mobs desecrating our monuments, nothing is done. It seems that no action, however hateful, will wake up the English. There is no vitality left. The masses are sleepwalking like zombies into their graves. It is impossible to imagine Englishmen turning out in anything like the numbers seen at recent pro-Palestine protests. There is a two-tiered policing system in place in this country, clear to see for anyone awake enough to look. The English police has become a police force for the English, as in, it polices the English while failing to intervene in the perpetration of the unlawful, destructive behaviour of the minorities we are forced to accommodate. In the summer of 2020, Black Lives Matter protests went unimpeded, while anti-lockdown protesters were dealt with swiftly. Why should England, literally the land of the English, be a minoritarian state in which the concerns and well-being of the natives are put last? Why should we be made to feel uncomfortable and unwelcome in our own home? This land belonged to our ancestors who built it. This is our inheritance. This is our birthright. If immigrants are made uncomfortable by our culture, they are welcome and encouraged to leave. It is their privilege to be here, not their right. If they hate this country and its values, they need not destroy it. They need simply go home. It was Christians of the British Empire who first came to the realization of the fundamental abhorrence of slavery, despite the institution having been a run-of-the-mill feature of human life for many millennia. It was the British Empire which, having abolished slavery, near enough bankrupted itself in the pursuit of stamping out the awful practice across the globe. The debt incurred by the Slavery Abolition Act of 1833 in the process of buying slaves' freedom amounted to 40% of GDP at the time, and was only finally paid off in 2015. Those agitating for reparations are scoundrels and liars. We have paid our reparations, manyfold, but no good deed goes unpunished. Ironically, it is for England's role in the slave trade that it must now be abolished. England, England, I am glad to have known you. I am proud to be a part of your stock. I am grateful for my lineage, for my blood ties to your rich, colourful, glorious history. For 1,000 years and more you have made your mark on the world, enduring countless years of unthinkable suffering and darkness, and enjoying periods of unrivalled prestige. This green and pleasant land, first colonised by Rome, then scourged by the pagan hordes, and then conquered by the Normans. The spirit of your people was strengthened by suffering. That is why it was England which thwarted Napoleon, and which twice delivered Europe from the tyranny of German barbarism. But we must go down fighting. That is the English spirit, after all. Unlike immigrants and citizens of the world, we have nowhere else to go. If England collapsed, they could return home. We do not have that luxury. England is our home. It is all we have. There is nowhere for the English to run. We are trapped between a dying Europe and a cold, harsh sea. We must defend what we hold dearest. It is almost certainly a Sisyphean undertaking, but there is no alternative.